And this month's Where Did the Road Go is sponsored in part by Allison Cook, Super Inframan, and Eric Hervin. Thank you all so much for your support. And if you want to become a patron and help support Where Did the Road Go, you can do so at wheredidtheroadgo.com. It's only $3 a month. You get extra content all month. You can also support the show through donations off the website or pick up some merch. All available at www.wheredidtheroadgo.com.
Transmission start. Welcome to Where Did the Road Go? Join us as we wander off the path and explore lost history, consciousness, the paranormal, unexplained mysteries, alternative thought, and much more. We are present on the web at wheredidtheroadgo.com. Now here is your host, Soraya.
Welcome to this edition of Where Did the Road Go? And by popular request, because we haven't done one in a while, we're doing a movie, media, TV show, podcast, review show. And I have with me Mr. Adam Sayne.
What's up, Mr. Soraya?
And for the first time on this show, Katie of Katie of the Night YouTube channel.
Hello, it's an honor.
And we're going to talk, movies, TV shows, whatever. Recent, old, doesn't matter. Just, stuff that kind of fits in with Where Did the Road Go in some way, shape, or form. Man, I got a lot since the last time we did a movie review show.
When was the last time you did a movie review show?
It's been a couple of years at least.
I remember doing one with you. That was a long time ago.
Yeah. I planned on doing them more regularly, and then recently a bunch of people have been asking when I was going to do another one, so here we are. Should do them more regularly. There's some really good stuff out there that people may not be aware of. Who wants to go first?
Why don't we start by talking with the newest release we have all just seen and talk about Malignant?
It's actually not. It's not the most recent thing I've seen.
Really?
No. It was the most recent thing I've seen.
So let's talk about Malignant.
I actually watched it today because I was gonna. I had seen that Katie was going to watch it, so I was like, I'm going to watch it and maybe we would talk about it. So, I don't know. I wasn't very much impressed by it, to be honest with you.
Neither was I. It didn't suck. I wasn't like, oh, this is awful. It just failed to really impress me at any point.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't really know if I want to give anything away. Of course, if there's anybody that wants to watch it, but I mean, it's basically kind of a ripoff of, or maybe it's, I guess the correct word would be homage to the movie Basket Case from the 80s.
Yeah.
It's a little more extreme than that.
I would say the one thing that did impress me is the effects of the we'll call it the creature. The movements and stuff was all that actress. She's a real life contortionist, and that was all her. None of that was CGI'd. And when I found that out, I was like, "That's impressive," because that was some really weird movements.
That is pretty impressive.
What did you?
Because she was doing like the whole backward walking thing too.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty. Was she doing the stunts?
That I don't know.
Fighting the cop and stuff.
What did you think of it, Katie?
Well, the only word I can think of is bizarre. It was innovative, but bizarre. It felt like it was too serious. It was a goofy overall plot, and they were trying to make it too serious. I don't know.
Yeah?
I'll go with bizarre yet innovative.
Yeah, the other problem that I had with it too was just like the acting was really stilted in it. Like it seemed like it was kind of just, and some of the acting was kind of just a little bad and kind of corny too.
Yeah. I
didn't really understand that. I think it's James Wan, I think.
Yeah, who did the Conjuring movies.
He did the Conjuring movies. He did I think the first Saw movie, maybe the first couple of Saw movies. I only saw the first one of those. But like you would kind of expect a little I don't know, a little better, more of a budget, and a little better from him. Just then, like the acting, and sometimes you can't tell whether or not it's the director telling the actors to act in a certain way too.
Yeah.
So that's why I wondered if, like, I don't think anybody was like really bad. It just seemed like, I don't know. It's one of those things where you wonder if the person that actually wrote the script, their first language is English,
or
like,
kind of
like Troll 2,
or even the prequel Star Wars movies where Lucas had everyone acting very stilted and weird. Right, and you're like, okay, these actors can't all be acting like this unless they're being guided that way.
Yeah, it was the same way. It kind of was the same. You had the same kind of feeling watching this one, that just like, why is it such a stilted kind of acting in this movie?
And of course, I realized who did it and went, oh, the Conjuring movies, and immediately have like bad associations. But I'm realizing I've never really watched those movies on their merit as being movies. They always just annoyed me because they sort of, made the Warrens look like they were these great ghost hunters and really caring people. And it's like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I've got a lot to say about that, but yeah, it's, I don't know. It just was once you kind of got I honestly, to give it credit, I honestly did not expect the reveal to come as it did. I thought that was pretty interesting. But then you're just like, okay, this is redone version of Basket Case, basically.
All right, let's see. You said it was strange, Katie. No, what's really strange is Prisoner of the Ghostland. This is the latest Nicolas Cage movie.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
It just came out, and okay, there's three things I can definitely say about this movie. A, it's a movie. B, I watched the whole thing. And C, Nicolas Cage is in it.
Uh-huh.
Other than that, it is a weird conglomeration of what the hell am I watching?
Well, Nicolas Cage is in just about everything right now anyway.
And I'm saying that not like this was a bad movie, but don't expect it to make sense. Like I look at IMDb and I'm like, okay, one of these reviews is going to say, what the hell did I just watch? Third review in, what the hell did I just watch? I'm like, there we are. And I don't even know how to describe the movie, but the visuals and some of it's almost psychedelic. But in like I guess an homage to like old bad like apocalyptic movies of like the 70s and 80s.
Mm-hmm.
So and it might be a style over substance situation there.
It definitely is. Like, I don't think this movie was like, oh, they tried to make a good movie and it doesn't make sense. I think they were literally just going for this weird vibe.
Well, what was this movie called again?
Prisoner of the Ghostland.
Okay, and it just literally came out?
Yep.
Well, speaking of Nicolas Cage, what about, was it Willy's Wonderland?
That was fun.
Yeah, was that not great?
I didn't love it as much as I thought I would, honestly. Have you seen it, Katie?
I have not.
Oh. You need to see Willy's Wonderland.
It was as stupid as I thought it was going to be.
Yes.
I had heard the rumor that Nicolas Cage did not speak throughout the entire thing.
Yeah.
And it honestly really did not disappoint.
And it got part way in and suddenly I'm like, he hasn't spoken at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then it gets to the end. I'm like, yep, he didn't say a damn word this entire movie.
Yep.
Wow.
My dad, I watched it with my parents actually. And my dad made the point that it's kind of a Clint Eastwood movie, like The Man with No Name, kind of classic. Motif going on. And I love how he just like drinks energy drinks like most of the movie.
Yeah.
And fights possessed animatronic.
Yeah. And not only that, but like he'll be fighting something or something will be going on and the bell will ring for him to take a break because he's working there. And he'll stop and go get an energy drink. And you're like, what the hell?
Yeah, he's got an entire pack of energy drinks, and then he has to go, and then he has to go kill another one of the creatures.
It's definitely a fun movie.
Oh yeah.
Katie, what do you got on your list?
Okay, this is another more recent movie. Have you guys seen the Wrong Turn remake?
No.
2020.
Huh. How does it hold up to the original?
It was much more complex, and I loved it. I loved it. It had a lot of twists and turns, and I think it was pretty long. I feel like it was a longer movie. I feel like the original Wrong Turn is just pretty straightforward, and this one is just crazy. It's got many layers. I had a great time with it.
Remakes aren't always good.
I know. I was very impressed by this, although opinions vary, but I liked that one a lot.
And talking about Nicolas Cage, remakes that were really, really bad included his version of The Wicker Man.
I bought that on DVD, but I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, it is awful.
Oh, bummer.
That's a classic.
Yeah, the original is so good.
Yeah, have you seen the original, Katie?
No, I've seen neither. No.
You got to watch the original. The original's fantastic. And then you can watch the Nicolas Cage one and go, "Wow. Why is this so bad?"
Not the bees. That was kind of the I think that was kind of a turning point for Nicolas Cage, was where he had that weird limbo for a little while after he stopped being an action star, and then he did the remake of The Wicker Man, and he kind of became like the punchline of a joke.
Yeah. And
that's where things shifted, and then of course this is the Nicolas Cage podcast, guys. He spent so much money and went bankrupt that buying stuff like a dinosaur skull,
right,
and these type of things, that like now he basically has to do like just about every movie that like is plopped into his lap.
But he's done some really great stuff. The one most people don't know about is Mom and Dad. That one was fantastic. It's where some kind of virus or something starts infecting the parents, so they start killing their children.
Yeah.
And that movie blew me away. I was like, this is fantastic. And then he did Mandy, and if anyone has not seen Mandy, that is a psychological mind fuck of psychedelic proportions. And an awesome movie.
This one's not going on the radio.
This one's not going on the radio, no.
Okay.
And Color Out of Space, which was possibly one of the best Lovecraft renderings ever.
Yeah, Color Out of Space was great. I thought that was fantastic.
And who was that? Richard Stanley who did that?
Yeah, Richard Stanley,
who's now had the sexual abuse allegations against him. So.
Oh, I hadn't heard this.
Yeah. I don't know what the hell is wrong with people. Taylor had gone and watched the movie, and then he looked up Stanley, and that was the first thing he found, was that he had been charged with something by one of the actresses that worked with him. Let's see if I can find it.
Googling people that you admire or appreciate never turns out well.
Well, I have not seen his other films. I know I've seen the documentary about like his kind of failed attempt to make Island of Dr. Moreau.
Right.
Which I don't know if you've seen that, Soraya.
I have not, but I've heard of it.
Yeah. He tried to make it, and then he got kicked out basically, and I think John Frankenheimer took it over.
Yeah.
But it was a big mess of a movie.
Color Out of Space production company cuts ties with director Richard Stanley after allegations of domestic abuse.
Well, wasn't he supposed to do? I think you were saying something like he was supposed to do 2 more.
Yeah, they're doing the company's still doing 2 more. I think they're doing Dunwich Horror. I think next, and they haven't announced the 3rd one. But he was supposed to do all of them. He was accused. Right. He was accused of abuse by his former partner, Scarlett Amaris.
Yeah, he seems to have had a very kind of up and down kind of career.
So he's
to say the least.
She filed charges for domestic violence, assault, and battery in 2014 against him. So, yeah, I don't know, but it means that he's not going to be making the next one, and depending on who they get, we'll see how good it turns out because he's made some decent Lovecraft adaptations.
Well, what else has he done besides Color Out of Space?
See, now I keep confusing him with someone else, so let me look him up. And I will tell you.
You've seen, is that like Hardware, that movie?
Yes.
I've never seen those.
You've never seen Hardware?
No, never seen that.
I like Hardware, but it got overhyped to me.
Now, he has a documentary, I think, about, or he's been working on one about like the Cathars in the south of France, because that's where he lives. Or where he at least used to live. He did Dust Devil. Now maybe he didn't do any other Lovecraft ones. Huh. He did something on the Fields of the Nephilim Revelations, which is interesting. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at the same thing, yeah. The Theater Bizarre was a weird one. Maybe he didn't direct it. Maybe he wrote one of them. Because I could swear he had other Lovecraft stuff in his... Well, I'm not seeing anything there either. Maybe I'm just wrong. It's looking like I'm just wrong. Huh. That's okay. Okay, so he's in Dagon. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I've seen that one.
He's in 12 Monkeys, which is not Lovecraft, but yeah, so, Yeah, I'm mixing him up with someone else who does a bunch of the Lovecraft ones, and I can't remember who it is. Disregard anything I had to say about that.
Well, the beauty of it is you can cut it out.
I'm not cutting it out. Let's see. Let me find one of the ones. Actually, what's a great series on Netflix that, man, I don't even know what to say about it exactly, is Brand New Cherry Flavor. Either of you see this?
I've heard about it, but I haven't watched it.
It is amazing. It is a limited series, so it has a beginning and an end, unlike so many other TV series. Words don't do it justice. It is one of the weirdest things you'll ever watch. It's all about an actress who goes to Hollywood. This sleazy director kind of steals her script, and she finds this witch to put a curse on him. And from there's like some tremendous body horror type of stuff. There's some David Lynch type of stuff mixed in. It's just a bizarre ride. And I pretty much watched the entire thing straight through because I needed to know what was going to happen.
Sounds awesome. I love the title of it too.
Yeah. From the title though, I never would have thought twice about it. Brand New Cherry Flavor. What's that? Like some kind of, teen, romance movie or something.
Right.
One of the guys I do the Metallic Onslaught with is like, you need to watch this now. And I'm like, okay. And then I'm like watching it going, oh, you're totally right. Holy crap.
Have either of you seen, I have not watched it, but I know that Josh has, I think he's talked about it before. I don't even know the name of it. This is the Icelandic
Katla.
Netflix series.
Katla.
Yeah. Have you watched that one?
Yes, Katla was fantastic. Another one that had an end.
So what is it about? Is it deal with fairy lore?
Vaguely. Basically what happens is this volcano's erupting in Iceland and doppelgangers of people start showing up.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So there's a little bit of fairy lore. Josh makes one critical comment about it that's dead on, where they try to scientifically explain what's going on, and it's totally not needed. But aside from that one is a fun watch.
Okay, yeah, because that's one I've been meaning to check out.
You haven't seen that one, Katie?
I don't really watch shows.
Oh, okay. All right.
Well, I'm more of I watch the same shows over and over, but I like watching movies I haven't seen. Just not shows for some reason. Maybe it's too much of a time commitment.
Right. I don't tend to watch anything over and over. Very, very, very rarely. And if I do, it's usually because I'm showing it to someone.
Right.
Except for all those wrestling VHS tapes that you have from like 1993.
Yeah, that's different. That's wrestling. And it's not like I remember 1993. Actually, I do remember chunks of the stuff I'm converting from VHS, and I'll be like, oh yeah, I remember this. Why do I remember this? I don't remember 2 weeks ago, but I remember this. Actually, one of the things I watched probably for the third time recently was Prince of Darkness from John Carpenter.
So that's one I've not seen.
Oh,
is that the one with Alice Cooper in it?
That is, and it's probably Carpenter's best movie. Katie, you've seen that one?
No, but I've seen the cover of it.
No, it is. Well, I think Halloween 3 is one of the best, at least Carpenter adjacent movies.
So this is Lovecraft and Gnosticism with like a covering of Christianity. So it's basically planting Satan as anti-God, who may have even created this universe, but then or had some hand in creating this universe, but then was banished to the other side. So it has that sort of elder god type of thing from Lovecraft mixed in, and his son is trying to bring him through because these stars are right now.
Soraya, why isn't there a metal band called Anti-God?
There probably is. In fact, I'm pretty sure there is.
Have they been into the Last Exit for the Lost Studio?
No, they have not. I don't actually know of them, but I'm sure there is an anti-God band out there.
Yeah, that's probably one of the few John Carpenter ones I've not seen.
It's a must-see. It really
Except
is.
for maybe like Ghost of Mars or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, Ghost of Mars was okay.
I've even seen Escape from L.A. You know, there's a whole, just like as an aside, that reminds me, like synthwave or retro wave, the whole like genre of music is basically all indebted to John Carpenter.
Yes. Yeah.
It's all like influenced by him.
But I had shown someone Prince of Darkness while we were recording Last Exit and was catching bits of it going, I don't actually remember this movie very well. So I sat down and watched it the other night and was like, yep, this movie is freaking awesome.
What is Alice Cooper's role in it?
He's a homeless guy.
Okay, so he doesn't have like a big role in it?
No, it's a very small role. He, apparently someone that was maybe Alice Cooper's manager or something was associated with this film with John Carpenter, and Carpenter was backstage at WrestleMania when Alice Cooper came out with Jake the Snake. And Alice Cooper, being a huge John Carpenter fan, came up and asked him if, is there any chance I can come and just watch you film one day? And he goes, do you want a part? And Alice is like, yes, I'll do whatever you want, And so he's like, all right.
And it all happened because of WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Who would have thunk?
And he, I guess he said he wanted him in the movie, but he wanted him in the movie as long as he would do his bit where he shoves a pipe through someone, because he was doing that on stage at the time.
Oh.
So that was one of his little magic tricks on stage, is that these people would come after him while he was singing. He'd grab a mic stand and he'd turn around and just shove it right through them. I have no idea how he does that trick either. I'm sure somebody out there knows the trick to it, but it was a pretty impressive thing to see live. And so he does this in the movie. Impressive.
I'm going to have to, that's another one. You're giving me all kinds of ones to see, Sarah.
Katie, throw something else out there.
Okay, let's see. Well, Adam mentioned that, I don't know if you've talked about the Conjuring movies or if we want to discuss them.
It's up to you.
Either as works of fiction or, any potential problematic information it may be giving out.
You mean pretty much all of it?
Well, I just watched the first Conjuring again the other day. I just think it's a fun time. I I like the Conjuring movies, but I just look at them like they're,
yeah,
fiction.
Yeah, that's kind of what you have to do.
Like I said, I just have this thing where I really dislike the way the Warrens took advantage of people and stuff. And so when they're painting the Warrens as these really caring, helpful people, and that's really not what they were, it just hurts the movie for me,
Mm.
Well, the first one is a good movie. I think it goes a little Hollywood towards the end. And the second one, it's okay, but it was hard for me to get past that the Warrens really had nothing to do with Infield.
No,
and I thought that third one was just Hollywood.
It was a love story. I felt like the third one was just a love story.
What is the third one?
Those elements.
Is the third one also called The Conjuring?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't see that one.
So the third one is based off of the Devil Made Me Do It case, where there was an exorcism performed on the child, and the child's brother claimed that he got into an argument with somebody and he killed this guy. Now, whether he did it, consciously or he did it by accident, but his defense was that he actually was possessed by this that the Warrens had cast out of his little brother.
Oh my god!
And that's what's depicted in the film. It's actually a pretty famous case. I mean, I think much like the Twinkie defense, I don't think that it was bought by the prosecution or by the jury, but
Twinkie defense, remind me of what that is.
The Twinkie defense, if memory serves me right, is the guy that shot the councilman Harvey Milk in San Francisco in the late 70s. He said that he shot Harvey Milk because he was all kind of crazed out from eating a diet of nothing but Twinkies.
Aha.
So it was known as the Twinkie defense. Yeah,
I guess I didn't know that.
And the devil, and honestly, like in period of time, I think that was 78, and I think the Devil Made Me Do It case was like 82 or 83. So it really wasn't separated by a long period of time. I mean, I got my own thoughts on the Warrens. I did a PowerPoint for our Conspiranormal hangout about the Warrens and some of their influences, and
sum it up for us a bit.
Man, I wasn't expecting to talk about this, but well, so they were based. So that is one of the things I think and I had this kind of misconception too, and they were like this in some ways, but you definitely kind of had this kind of P.T. Barnum kind of feel to Ed.
Yes.
And you felt that Lorraine was maybe a little more of a true believer. But really the truth is, if you look at some of the interviews that they did and some of the shows that they did with their son-in-law, which you can find this stuff on YouTube, they were both really true believers. But they would do anything to bolster these kind of paranormal happenings to cast them as some kind of demonic haunting,
right?
Because that bolstered their Roman Catholicism.
It also bolstered their pocketbook.
It did, but it also promoted kind of a more traditionalist type of Roman Catholicism, because that was pretty much their belief system and their ideology. That's basically summing it up. And they worked with traditionalist Catholic priests that were staunchly anti-Vatican II. I mean, if I explain that, that's a whole other show.
All right.
But they were. There's a lot to it. I think there's a lot more to it than just financial gain. Let's just put it that way. I think that it was almost in a sense that if we can prove that there's the existence of an ultimate evil, we can prove the existence of an ultimate good. I mean, essentially, I saw an interview that Ed actually says that. And Ed could come up with some stories, man. You know, he would talk about, you know, being like on a submarine in World War II and seeing an angel saving a whole bunch of guys and pulling him out of the water and this kind of stuff. But I think there was a little more to their motivation than just money. You know, there was that whole thing with the guy that basically wrote the Snedeker family haunting, the Haunting in Connecticut case. Mm-hmm. He wrote In a Dark Place, and basically Ed told him just to make stuff up.
Yeah, yeah.
But it wasn't all for their financial gain. I mean, I think that they did make money off the things that they did, but I think there was definitely another type of motive there.
Well, the two stories that stuck out to me, one, and I don't remember which case it was, but it turned out that the person they thought that was possessed actually had schizophrenia. And Ed said to their relative or whatever, they said, look, just keep your mouth shut about this and we can both make a decent amount of money off of this. And that pretty much mirrors what he said to the researchers at the Enfield Poltergeist case.
Right.
Which is what the second Conjuring movie is that he came in and these parapsychologists were really trying to help this family. And he said, look, you know, work with us. We can make a lot of money off of this case. And they basically told him, this is about the family. Get the hell out of here. And in the movie, the thing that really bugged me is they reversed that in the movie where the Warrens are the ones there trying to help the family. Right. And the parapsychologist is like, and they're like, no, this is about the family. I'm like, oh, you man.
The thing is that there's a lot going on in that time period in the 70s, and I cover that in this PowerPoint. There's the Exorcist comes out. There's kind of the beginning. You get the first rumblings of the Satanic Panic.
Yeah.
Malachi Martin is producing his books, starting to produce his books around this time. Malachi Martin was a traditionalist Catholic priest that also rejected Vatican II. Basically rejecting modernism in the Catholic Church.
All right, we're going to do a show on this at some point, Adam.
Yeah, we should probably do something about this to get a little bit more in depth in it. But there's a lot more going. Yeah, there's a lot more going on, I think. And the thing was with Guy Lyon Playfair and Morris Gross, who were the guys that helped out that were investigating Enfield. They were parapsychologists, like you said.
Yeah.
There wasn't this religious bit to them.
Right.
It was purely scientific. And the Warrens, there was A, make money, but B, if we can promote our religious views, that's also great too. So this is 1977. I mean, there's a lot going on. I mean, also the Annalise Michelle case. We should do a whole show on this.
Okay. All right. So, Katie, you brought up the Conjuring movies, and then Adam and I talked about them. So, what are your thoughts on them?
Well, I knew that you guys had a lot to say, so I was opening the door for you.
Oh, okay.
I love the first and second one. I think they are so fun. The third one it was fun to watch, but it didn't really stand out to me. I really feel like I enjoy the second one the most, but this is from a completely superficial
horror
perspective.
Movie. Yeah.
Right.
And the first one of the women who has written a few books who was involved in that, wrote a few books about the stuff her family went through, said
Andrea Perrin.
Yeah, said something like there was almost nothing in the movie that was actually true except for like one thing that she actually hadn't told them about that they put in the movie, like serendipitously.
Weird. That's odd.
Yeah.
What was the one thing she said?
I don't remember. It's something at the beginning. And she's like, that no one ever told them that. It was the director that put it in there. And for the life of me, I don't remember what it was. But she's like, that was the weirdest thing. She's like, there's nothing in that movie that's true. But this little bit at the beginning actually kind of is, and no one told them that. They made that up. She actually said the case was worse than what you see in the movie.
Right. But she still supported the movie though.
Yes.
I mean, she wasn't critical of it at all.
No.
That first one, I mean, it is actually a Warren case.
Yes.
That was the first big case where there were all the elements of demonic possession, a large Catholic family. That was going to be repeated quite a few times. The Smurl family haunting is also interesting. That's going to be Conjuring 4, I guarantee you. Will be the Smurl family haunting.
What was the nun one? Was that just like a side story?
That's that I think that's just something they made up for the movie.
Okay, but that was its own movie, right?
Yeah, it's its own movie. Yeah.
Okay.
It's all part of the quote-unquote Conjuring universe.
Yep.
Okay.
It's a period piece that has nothing to do with the Conjuring movies except the demon that appears in Conjuring 2 is also in The Nun.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, she like follows Lorraine around and stuff too. That's part of like what is going on, and then yeah, I'll have more to say about The Nun when we talk about that.
Okay.
Maybe the next episode we can do something about that. But like that yeah. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to.
Okay, so I'm gonna
get carried away.
I'm gonna go with the next one here being In the Earth. Have either of you seen this?
No.
I have not.
This movie blew me away. It is very slow. So I'm warning people right off the bat, this is a slow-ass movie. It only has like 4 or 5 people in the entire cast. But the concepts and stuff in it are just, are just brilliant. It's about this scientist who's researching how to communicate with plants out in the woods. And they lose communication with her, and just during a pandemic, and it was actually shot during lockdown 2020 in the UK. So this ranger and this other scientist go out to find her, and there's this guy who's like picked up on this old cult-like rituals that were done in this forest, and he tries to sort of like drag them into that, and then she rescues them, or they find her. I can't remember exactly what happened. But the whole thing is she's using light and sound frequency to literally communicate with the forest. And he's trying to do the same thing. This other guy is initially working with her, but he's going with the more ritualistic approach that the ancient people of the area used was more effective. And it's a dark, psychedelic movie, and it has a lot to do with like fungal intelligence, like these large fungal structures under the earth actually functioning like brains.
Okay. It's like large organisms. Yeah,
right.
There's an X-Files episode like that.
So, this, like I said, it's slow, and people either loved it because they got what they were trying to say in the movie, or they hated it because it was slow and boring to them. So depending on your taste.
It's not like The Happening, is it?
No, but I liked that too. I'm one of the few people who liked The Happening.
Yes, you are.
I haven't seen it, so I can't laugh along.
Well, that's a long-standing joke between me and Soraya that he likes The Happening.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought the thing is with me, like, if I like the concept, I'll generally like the movie. I might be like, well, it could have been executed better, but with that one, I kind of liked the way it was executed.
A lot of M. Night Shyamalan's movies kind of really flopped, but I thought that they were still pretty decent movies, like The Village and Lady in the Water, and
I really liked Lady in the Water.
I thought they were okay movies. I didn't think that there was anything bad about them, but once you get to The Happening, it's like, what? Like,
I like the atmosphere of his movies. That's another thing about this movie, In the Earth. It's very atmospheric. It's very psychedelic. It's very atmospheric. So there's almost no action to it. You know what I'm saying? There's another one that has a similar concept that also came out around the same time called Gaia. That has a little more action to it. But it's a very similar concept. And in that case, the fungus is actually mutating people. And the people it mutates apparently look just like the creatures in the video game Left 4 Dead, I think it is. I don't have it because it's like a PlayStation only. It's some really popular game that everyone's like, oh, you should play this, but I don't have a PlayStation, so I can't. But apparently they look exactly like the creatures in the movie. So apparently that's where they got their design from.
They ripped it off from a video game.
Exactly. It's an homage.
Gotcha.
Adam, you throw one out there.
Oh, I got a few since I was sick as well, and I got to just watch movies all the time. One that I watched on Netflix called Things Heard and Seen.
Oh,
I thought was a very decent movie, and I was kind of surprised to find out that it did not get very good reviews. But it's about this it's about a couple, professor and his wife, younger, that actually move up to upstate New York and move into this house, and like all these kind of strange things kind of start happening. And it's kind of a ghost story type of movie. But what's interesting about it is it's based in the philosophy of Emanuel Swedenborg.
Swedenborg?
Yeah, Swedenborg, yeah.
Okay.
And, it actually kind of spurred me to read it, but read up on him a little bit.
He's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, there are people that are, I guess, like the new church is what it's called, that are adherents. And they actually do like what is depicted in the movies, like seances and stuff like that. And Swedenborg claimed that he had like this vision of heaven and hell.
Yeah.
He lived sometime in the 18th century. But it was an interesting, like, you got an exploration and kind of like this kind of mystery, kind of murder mystery kind of movie about that kind of philosophy. And I thought that was interesting. And I wonder if it just kind of went over some people's heads when they watched it.
I'm going to have to check that out.
Yeah, I would definitely watch it. I was pretty impressed by it. And then, of course I read it and it's like, well, it's got 37% or something on Rotten Tomatoes. I was like, that was good. That was great.
Huh.
People are just too picky or something. I don't know.
So I want, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I want to anti-recommend a movie.
Yeah.
And I usually don't feel this strongly about things like this. There's a movie called John and the Hole.
John and the
Heard
Hole.
of it.
Yeah, it was beyond terrible. And I watched the whole thing because I thought it was going somewhere, and it wasn't. So it's about this kid, John, who's kind of weird, and he just randomly, he finds out back of their property, like the next property over, someone was building something and stopped. So there's this big hole that was going to be the basement. So he just randomly decides to drug up his whole family, his sisters, mom and dad, and put them in the hole, which they never really explain how he does. And then he just kind of leaves them in there for about a week or two and spends all their money and buys video games and has friends over. And he's like 12. Drives their car around for a bit, and then decides he misses them, so he puts the ladder down, and they come out, and everything just goes back to normal.
What?
Yeah. And in the midst of this, there are 3 scenes about this woman and her 12-year-old daughter, where one, like, she's asking to hear a story, and she's like, do you want to hear the story of John in the Hole? And then, like, I forget what the second scene is. In the third scene, she's like, well, you're 12. I'm going to leave now. You're on your own. And the girl just wanders out into the woods, and that's how it ends. And I'm like, was this supposed to make sense? Because it doesn't make any sense at all. But you're watching it thinking they're going to have this big connective reveal at the end where you're going to be like, wow. No, it was just a waste of damn time.
Noted.
So under no circumstances, watch John in the Hole unless you want to watch a really boring movie that makes absolutely no sense.
I might watch it and I'll absolutely love it.
If you do, you might need help. Not sure what kind of help.
It only made $25,000. So.
They probably spent $20 making it.
There was a friend of mine one time. She recommended a movie for me called Southland Tales.
Oh, I love Southland Tales.
And it's directed, it's by the same.
I lost you, Adam. And I lost you. What'd you say?
She told me about it, and she said it's by the same guy who did Donnie Darko.
Yes.
And she had she said, I don't think you're really going to like it. And I was like, I'll give it a chance. And I watched it. And I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I thought loved it too.
Incredible.
And The Rock in there is, man, the character he plays that was early on in his career. I'm like, okay, he's a good actor.
I'm a pimp, and pimps don't commit suicide.
I haven't seen that in a while, but I absolutely loved that movie.
Yeah, it gets into some deep subjects for sure, and it's just it's kind of just a fun, wild ride, really.
All right, Katie, you're up.
Okay. How about The Witch from 2015?
Ooh, I love that.
I just watched it for the first time a couple months ago.
That is a great movie. Excellent movie. I've seen it about 3 times.
The ending was, I won't spoil it for the listeners, but I think I got scared a little bit.
Have you seen the same director? Have you seen The Lighthouse? Have you watched that?
I do not want to watch that.
Oh, The Lighthouse was great too.
That's well worth watching as well. Yeah. There's a lot in The Witch that is very
accurate,
unsettling, but it's also like you can see a lot of kind of even like a lot of German kind of expressionism in it as well.
But it's also
it's amazing.
It's also very realistic to the time period.
Yeah.
And it's a very slow movie, and as it's going on, I'm like, I like the feel of this. I hope it goes somewhere, and then the ending happened, and I went, okay, that was awesome.
Yeah. It's a definite slow burn. Oh God, Eggers is his last name, but he's a really gifted filmmaker.
Yes, and The Lighthouse is the one with the Lovecraftian influences of the creatures in the sea.
Oh yeah,
and that was that totally surprised me because that's
I read the entire plot of that movie, but I haven't watched it.
Oh, you should totally watch it. It looks beautiful too.
He is going to be doing. He talked about this after he did The Witch, but I think now he's going to do it. He's talking about redoing Nosferatu.
Huh.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it would look nice. I honestly don't like people going with like redone movies very often, unless they're going to really add something to it.
Well, if you've seen, I think Nosferatu would be a good one for him to make, because like I said, you can tell the guy's really influenced by German expressionism from the 20s. Yeah.
And I'm sure it'll be good.
Did you see, Herzog's remake of that was excellent.
I don't know if I saw that.
Herzog's with Klaus Kinski.
I'm not that into vampires is the thing.
You should watch that. That's any of Herzog's stuff is amazing, but especially the ones he did with Kinski. But
so there was one I watched. I don't necessarily recommend, but again, it had a really interesting idea, and it was called The Field. And it was about this sort of I don't know how to define them, maybe yuppie-ish sort of couple who move out to this small town and buy a farm because they're tired of big city life and they just want to like work on their art and stuff. And he's taking pictures. He's decided he's going to be a photographer, and he's taking pictures with this camera, and he has it on, like taking regular frames. And he starts noticing that every once in a while there's someone in his frame. And he's like, what is that? Like here's a frame 2 seconds earlier, that person's not there, and then there's a person, and then there's no one. And it basically comes down to, without giving too much of the movie away, it comes down to there are these people in the field who are trapped there, who are moving at what you could say is a different frame rate.
Ooh.
That's freaky.
Yes, it was a very it's not a great movie, but it held my interest because the ideas were so cool. And there's a little bit of cult stuff going on and stuff like that. And I enjoyed it. I didn't love it, but I enjoyed it. Adam?
Well, one I watched just recently, about a couple weeks ago, is The Empty Man.
Ooh, I don't know that one.
Yeah, this one, they came out in movie theaters, didn't do too well, but they said, and again, also critically panned, but I thought was a really decent movie. I don't know what's going on with critics lately, but
who cares what critics have to say?
Yeah, I know. It's kind of crazy. But it's it has to do with well, one of the things it has to do with is something you've talked about a lot on Where the Road Go, which is tulpas.
Oh,
that's pretty integral to the plot. I won't give it away because this is a movie worth seeing, unlike *Malignant*.
What is the name of it?
The Empty Man.
The Empty Man. Okay.
So what happens is, like, you've got this ex-cop and this girl disappears, and he's not working for the police, but he's helping out her mother trying to find her. And there's like the Scientology like cult involved. And it does kind of remind me of a movie from the 80s called Angel Heart.
Oh, somewhat. Yeah, I love that movie.
Alan Parker.
Yeah.
De Niro and
the girl from the Cosby Show.
Yeah, and Andy Rourke, I guess I think so, that's his name. But yeah, so it reminds me a little bit of that. It's kind of got similar plot points, but it's got a great reveal at the end. And it's kind of a slow burn, but and it's about a 2.5 hour long movie, so it takes a little bit of patience.
All right, okay.
But it's I think it was well worth seeing, and the guy that plays the main character, I think he got named James Badge Dale, who's a great actor. He's not, I think, utilized enough. So I really enjoyed it.
All right, Katie.
And apparently it's become kind of a cult classic now. A lot of people really like it since it's come on, HBO Max and all that.
Right. Well, that happens a lot. I mean, stuff flops in the theater, but then,
right.
Even what is it? The TV show Manifest, which is okay. I was never blown away by it, but it got such great views on Netflix that it was like it got canceled off of whatever station it was on. But it was number one on Netflix as far as viewing goes. And they ended up getting one more season due to it.
Yeah, there's several shows. Did that happen with The Expanse?
Yeah.
Did Prime pick it up or something?
Yes, and now it's coming into their last season, but the guy who is making it's like, that doesn't mean it's over. He's like, we're going to try and get someone else to pick it up.
Yeah.
So, Katie, you're up.
Okay. Well, I've been thinking about what types of movies scare me the most, and I would have to say body horror scares me the most right now. I've watched a couple of David Cronenberg movies recently. I watched The Brood and Scanners, and I loved both of them.
Have you seen Videodrome?
Yeah, I saw that in college. It's been a long time, though. I want to rewatch it.
And, of course, The Fly is excellent, too.
Yeah.
There's another one that he did, early movie, called Rabid, which is kind of silly. But what else did he do? The one I haven't seen Dead Ringers. That's another one that's supposed to be really
I've
really
seen
good.
it, but I don't remember it.
Yeah. Scanners, of course, has that famous scene in the beginning where the guy's head blows up.
Yeah.
I was very surprised. That movie was wild. Yeah, I also just watched Hellraiser 2. I saw the first one and just watched the second one, which is also just really, really bloody, really painful. I don't know. I guess this is the stuff that scares me right now.
Oh, the first two Hellraisers are great.
Yeah.
You can live without like Hellraiser 17 or whatever.
Yeah, no kidding.
Like the second one is just the second one is even more off the wall than the first one.
Right? With
all that like claymation and animation and stuff in it. It's crazy.
I don't even remember that. Really?
Yeah, they go to hell. They actually go into hell and shit. Yeah.
Huh. It's been a long time since I've seen that.
Yeah, I just watched it a few years ago.
I have a bunch of stuff.
Who was the first one? Who did the first one? The writer of the first Hellraiser?
Oh, I don't remember.
I did Clive Barker.
Clive Barker.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think I'm mixing up the Lighthouse with Cold Skin.
Well, there are some Lovecraftian elements in the Lighthouse, too.
So, yeah, but I'm thinking of Cold Skin. A young man arrives at a remote island to take a post of weather observer, only to find himself defending the watchtower from deadly creatures which live in the island shores. So now I got to look at the Lighthouse and see what that one is.
I think I got those mixed up, too.
Because Cold Skin was great. And the Lighthouse is two lighthouse keepers try to maintain their sanity while living on a remote, mysterious New England island in the 1890s. That I have not watched yet.
Yeah, that's a need to watch movie.
So Cold Skin is what I was thinking of. Cold Skin was awesome. So have you seen Cold Skin, Adam?
I have not seen Cold Skin.
So it's very Lovecraftian. It's very, there's literally these creatures that attack this lighthouse every night. And it's him trying to figure out, what to do because they're pretty much stranded there with no means of communication. So is that the one you were thinking of, Katie?
Yeah, that is. I watched the trailer for that. And then that's the one I read the plot synopsis on. And yeah, I also got them confused. That's so odd.
Well, they both take place in the lighthouse.
Right.
Let's see, what else? So many things I've seen here since the last time I did one of these shows. And I keep a full list, so I have them all right here. But man, I don't even know where to go. Some of them were just terrible, because we also talk about this stuff on The Last Exit for the Lost. We usually do movies every week. There's Heavy Trip, which has not a whole lot to do with anything paranormal. Have you seen this, Katie?
No, never heard of it.
Okay, you have to find Heavy Trip. It's a comedy about this black metal band in Sweden who have basically been playing in their basement for the last 10 years and decide they're going to start playing shows and writing songs. And it is so damned funny. I was dying. I was like, I cannot believe this movie is this funny, because not only is it just genuinely funny to anyone to watch, but if you're into the metal scene, there's so many inside jokes. Some obvious ones, like one of the guys designs the logo, and they're like, "What does it say?" And what did he say? Something like inverted rectum or something like that. And they're like, "Oh, that's great," because you can't read the logo.
That sounds right up my alley.
It is all subtitled. There's no English dub, but it is absolutely fantastic movie.
Awesome.
And you'd probably enjoy it as well, Adam.
I probably would.
You just may not get all the references.
Probably not. I'm not like you metalheads. I'm much more of a punk rock alternative kind of guy. So
there's nothing wrong with that.
We appreciate punk too.
Yes.
Yep.
All right, throw us another one, Adam.
Well, it's not a movie, but it's a series, and it's not particularly, I would say, paranormal, but it's interesting.
Okay.
Called For All Mankind. It's actually on Apple TV, which I got a year subscription to from buying my phone, so I was like, why not? And it basically, it's the same guy who did Ron Moore, who did the redone Battlestar Galactica, worked on Deep Space Nine, Star Trek: Next Generation.
Right.
And it's basically a kind of alternate history where the Soviets get to the moon first. So that really kind of spurs the space race to continue.
Yeah.
And, it's so you're dealing with the first season takes place in kind of this alternate 70s where they're building a moon base and you have the astronauts on the moon. And then the second season deals with the 80s where it's an even more expansive moon base. And there's talk about going to Mars. It's an interesting. It's kind of more of a dramatic kind of series.
No, but it sounds interesting.
It's a real interesting concept of just like, what if, we kind of continued instead of just stopping.
Yeah. Well, of course we had to stop because the aliens on the moon told us to.
Correct. That's exactly what happened, Soraya.
So let me throw out a couple of podcasts. There's one called Believer. And they didn't do a lot of episodes, but it looks like they're about to continue it. And it's, I don't know, it's interesting the way they're structuring it. I'll read the synopsis. Laura Campbell used to believe in the paranormal. Now she pretends to believe in it for money. But when her partner goes missing near the Oregon Bigfoot Highway, she may have to reevaluate everything she thought she knew. So it has a big Bigfoot sort of influence to it. And they even, in one of the in-between episodes, reads the Bigfoot Canyon story. I can't remember the name of it, where the cabin is attacked by Bigfoot creatures overnight.
Ape Canyon?
Yeah, that's it, Ape Canyon. Yeah. So she actually reads that story like out of character, so I suspect the people doing it actually are interested in this stuff, which is not always the case. For some reason, it seems like a lot of people who write paranormal stuff, whether, it be books, TV shows, whatever, they don't really believe in this stuff. Mm-hmm. And that always puzzles me. It's like, why do you write something that you don't like? The one that always pissed me off is the guy who wrote John Dies at the End. Is it John Wong or something like that? Is a fervent materialist. And if you read those books, like, he seems to have a good grasp on the high strangeness level of this stuff. And at the end of I think it was the last book, he basically said, don't write me with your paranormal stories. If you think you've had a paranormal experience, you're mentally ill.
Oh my gosh.
And it was like this really nasty thing. And I'm like, you have issues, dude. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, I've been suggested to read those books.
They're great. They're absolutely fantastic. I actually got the first
one. I read the first chapter, so they come highly recommended by Soraya. I'm gonna have to check them. keep going with it.
It's just the author is kind of an ass. Yeah. He's a good author though. So
yeah, that's a pen name, by the way. It's not his real name.
Really? I couldn't remember if it was his real name or not. He works for, and at least he worked for Cracked, the website.
Oh, okay.
Let's see, other podcasts that I'm sure I've mentioned before. The White Vault is excellent, very Lovecraftian, and I think going into their last season. Just started listening to one called Bridgewater about the Bridgewater Triangle, which it's okay. What's happening is a lot of these bigger budget companies are now picking up podcasts. So this one is made by iHeartRadio, and it's extremely well done production-wise, although sometimes they do the production so much where, you're hearing sound effects and stuff, and then they never tell you what happened. You're like, I don't know what all those sounds meant. What just happened, But I feel like they're making it harder for the truly independent podcasts to start up and to be found, because podcasting is now such a big thing that when you get these bigger companies pouring a lot of money and advertising into it, you'll see ads run on all the other podcasts for their new podcasts, which, most people wouldn't be able to afford. It's kind of squeezing out the little guy, I think, a little bit.
Yeah.
And
that's always how this stuff goes.
We already know how that goes, Soraya. Just, we've been doing this for a long time, and you will always get a celebrity that will start his podcast up and get millions of downloads on the first day.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So
I feel though it's harder to start a podcast now because the field is so oversaturated.
You think so?
I think it is. I mean, I'm happy I started mine when I did.
Yeah, same here.
Because I think it would be much harder to get noticed now, which is why I like bringing on people from other podcasts that I think are worth, like check this podcast out, because you're not necessarily going to get it recommended very easily on your podcatcher.
That's how I found Conspiranormal, because Adam was on Where Did the Road Go?
Yeah.
That's right.
I don't remember how I found Where Did the Road Go, but it was about 2015.
So about 2 years after I started.
Yeah.
And then you made a video about it.
I sure did. Because Where the Road Go is my favorite.
And someone told me that, and I went and watched the video and went, "Oh, that's so cool. All right, cool. I'm gonna leave a comment." And then we started talking. And then I found out you were into metal, and I'm like, "Oh, really? Okay, you're even cooler than I thought."
And then randomly ran into me at the Alien Expo in Knoxville.
Right.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. I was like, yeah, I know who you are.
Well, this is the only person that ever came to Strange Realities conference because I gave them a flyer out of the 1,000 flyers that I purchased. One person came,
and it was great.
and it's going to be there again. So.
The other podcast, I definitely, it's over now, but it's definitely worth a listen because it is a complete story, is the Mirrors podcast. And that was absolutely fantastic. I loved that from beginning to end, and it had a good end on it. And it's hard to really get into what it is. It's about sort of cross-dimensional communication.
Cool.
See, that's you seem to have gotten into the fictional podcast. That's like I have not even touched that.
Me either.
Field of podcasting.
Well, I got into it because of Welcome to Night Vale. Like, I don't remember how I came. I think maybe Welcome to Night Vale got recommended or something, and I looked and I went, "What the hell is this? Oh, it's fiction. I don't think I care about fiction." But then, like, the description was so interesting. I'm like, well, maybe I'll give it a shot. And then suddenly I'm like, okay, I love Welcome to Night Vale. This is awesome. And slowly expanded outward from there, because I'm like, just like when I got into podcasts to begin with, I'm like, well, what else is out there? And some of them are terrible. Some of them I don't even get through a whole episode of, but there are some that are really absolutely phenomenal. And the thing about telling a story in an audio format is it gives you more freedom, as opposed to a movie where certain things you would need effects, and you got to make sure those effects don't look cheesy. You don't need that. It's like writing it in a book. You have the ability to present these ideas in interesting ways without having to worry about the visuals for it. You know, Wolf 359 is another one that is absolutely stunning as far as podcasting goes. The ideas in that about alien communication are incredible, and it's funny on top of all that.
I suppose it's a great way for people to get their fiction out there that maybe they can't publish it or try to. I wonder if they try to put out a novel or a book and then that goes along with it, whether that's effective.
So not. It is for bigger podcasts like Welcome to Night Vale. But they also have a very huge audience. They're one of the biggest fiction podcasts out there and totally independent. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I think it would depend. I know the girl who did Mirrors, who also did Spines, which was really good, put out a novel. I don't know how well it did. I haven't read it yet. But if it's anything like the other stuff she's created, she is very, I mean, her stuff is just like, you never heard anything like it. You know, the stuff in Mirrors, the stuff in Spines, it's so weird and different. I don't think anything mainstream would ever pick it up. So
yeah. I'm pretty much like, you know, the kind of the paranormal and, you know, that type of podcast, and then I also listen to history podcasts too. So
okay,
that's another big thing that I listen to.
I didn't think I would get so into fiction podcasts, but Archive 81. Oh my God, Archive 81. Again, and that also with the soundscapes they create, it's so brilliant, and they are making a Netflix series out of it. And I'm really wondering if they're going to be able to capture it on a visual sort of thing.
Yeah, see, there you go. I think that's probably the reason why people are starting to do that. They want to get noticed by a company like Netflix.
Yeah, so I mean, the first season won't be as hard, but when they get to the second or third seasons, or especially the second season, which happens in a completely different universe, I'm not really sure how they're going to do that. But I'm hoping it doesn't suck.
Let's hope.
Welcome to Night Vale got opted for a TV series at one point, but it never happened. The Black Tapes as well also got opted and never happened. I think I heard something about Tanis getting looked at as a possible TV series, but it just seems like most of these podcasts never come to fruition as actual television shows in any way. All right. Who wants to go next?
Well, I'm all out of
what
ideas here.
Okay. You have anything left, Katie?
Okay. I'll throw out another one. Have you guys seen The Autopsy of Jane Doe?
I don't know. It sounds vaguely familiar.
It's fairly new. I don't know. Maybe it's like 2018 or something.
What's it about?
It's, I feel like I can't explain much without giving it away, but it's about this. What do you call a guy who does autopsies?
Mortician, medical examiner. Yeah.
Okay, a medical examiner and his son they've gotten a body in, and they start performing an autopsy on her. And things get really, really weird. And it's like the whole movie is just taking place there in the autopsy room. I think the whole movie takes place in there. And it's just brilliant. I love it.
This looks good. Yeah.
I highly recommend.
Hey, tell everybody, Katie, about you're interested in giallo and what that is and everything.
Okay. So where I've been hanging out in terms of watching movies is mostly in the 70s. There is an Italian kind of a subgenre called giallo.
Spell it for people.
It's Giallo. It's actually the Italian word for yellow.
Oh.
So giallo is kind of like crime, murder, mystery, thriller, kind of horror sort of genre, known to be really, really stylish. And most people have probably heard a little bit about the genre. Dario Argento is a really famous director in that genre. Movies like Phenomena, which star Jennifer Connelly, that was a giallo. Have y'all seen Phenomena?
I believe so.
It's about a girl who can control bugs with her mind.
Yeah, a long time ago.
It's awesome. So I've been watching a ton of giallo lately. It has like great violence, great twist endings, very artistic. Another type of movie that might be more stylish than substantial sometimes, but that's been my jam lately.
Yeah, you've done a couple of videos on that.
Yeah. I've been studying it. I don't know. I've just gone down a rabbit hole.
That can happen.
Oh, so there was another one that I liked the idea of, but the execution was kind of weak, called The Hum, Hum. And it's about this box that appears in the woods and like on this like trail, and it emits this humming noise, and no one knows where it came from. They can't open it, and occasionally people who have passed away are seen in vicinity of the box. So it gets, again, kind of weird and psychedelic at spots. There's a cult involved, but it kind of leaves you like feeling a little unsatisfied at the end. Like they don't really explain it, but they don't really explain much of anything. Like it's not just that it's open. It's like they didn't really have a complete idea of what they were doing. So like the concept is cool, but the execution is kind of like, okay, that was it. Well, it was a cool concept at least. So I don't know that I would recommend it unless you just want to get the sort of vibe from it, I guess. You know what I didn't like? Army of the Dead. Either of you see it?
Army of the Dead.
It was a big deal when it came out on Netflix. Stars Dave Bautista and I forget who else is in it. It was so bad. So bad. It's basically zombies. A zombie outbreak takes over in Vegas, and they're going to go in and rob a bank because the money will be untraceable because it's already been counted as a loss. That's not really why they're going in. The story makes no goddamn sense. It has a huge budget, huge stars. The guy who directed it, it's a big name director who did it. It was awful. Like, the visuals were awful. Everything was shot in this super close blurred focus thing, and Chris knows exactly what it's called. I absolutely hated this movie, and I watched the whole thing. And I was just like, there was so many problems with every aspect of it. And afterwards, I go to the reviews, and there's someone, I think it's the top comment, that says something like, top 10 things I learned watching Army of the Dead or something. And it actually made the movie better because the review was so funny. And the thing that really gets you, there was one review that I don't want to give too much away. So one of the side missions they go on when they're in Vegas is to rescue this woman. And they rescue her, of course. There's no surprises in this movie. And at the end, they're getting on this helicopter to get out of Vegas, and then all this stuff happens. But as soon as she's on the helicopter, she just disappears. You never see her again. So, the helicopter ends up crashing. You never see if she's alive, dead. She's just completely gone. It's like playing a video game where you have to do that side mission and rescue someone. And as soon as you get them back to where they're supposed to be, they just cease to exist anymore.
So, yeah, it's just completely pointless. There's no point to 20 minutes of the movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like this is your secondary plot line, and you just let it go at the end. Oh, it was so bad. So bad. I could not believe how bad it was, to be totally honest with you.
Come on, Netflix.
And they threw so much money at it. Oh, who is the director?
Zack Snyder.
That's it.
Really? It
yeah.
Really is Zack Snyder?
Yep.
Oh, no.
It was just, oh, boy.
Wow.
There's a few...
What about movies that are coming out? Anything that you're looking forward to, Soraya?
I don't usually know what's coming out. There's another cool one called on Netflix. I think it was on Netflix, called Spontaneous, and it's a weird little movie. It feels very independent. It's about this high school graduating class who, occasionally explode. They just pop. And no one knows why it's happening, and there's a sort of pseudo love story mixed in between two teenagers, and it's actually really good and weird.
Are you interested at all in seeing the new Dune when it comes out?
No. I've never been a Dune fan.
Really? Man, don't tell that to Sir Fiel, man. He's read all the books. Okay.
I tried to read the books, and I just could not get into them.
I read the first book. I loved the first book. I've not read any of the other ones.
And then
the first one is really good.
I went and I watched the mini series that was on, and I didn't like that either. I thought it was boring as hell.
Yeah, the mini series is a little more true to the book than the David Lynch version. I'm curious to see what they do with, because this is the same guy did Arrival and Runner 2049,
right?
Dennis Villeneuve. So I'm curious what he does with it.
Oh, there's another independent one that was really cool called Doors. All over the planet, these doors suddenly show up, and they interact with people in really weird ways, like they're actually a form of consciousness. And it's shot in really, we'll call it experimental ways. And most people absolutely hated it, and I absolutely loved it. I thought it was brilliant the way they put it together.
You watch a lot of movies, Soraya.
Look, this list goes back a couple of years at this point.
Okay, I gotcha.
And I'm only picking the ones I can remember. Okay, so I watched both Quiet Place movies. They were good. I was surprised they were as good as they were. I watched Castle Freak 2020.
Oh my gosh, I just watched Castle Freak 95.
Did you like it?
Yeah. It wasn't my favorite Stuart Gordon.
That's who I always mix the other guy up with, Stuart Gordon.
But I thought it was fun.
It never blew me away. I always wanted it to be more. The 2020 version is terrible. However, it is way more Lovecraftian than the 95 version. So there's like this trade-off. You get a little more Lovecraft, you get some seriously disturbing stuff, but it's really not a good movie.
Wonder if it's worth watching.
I'm a sucker for Lovecraft-inspired stuff, so to me, yes.
Do you enjoy the was it Ari Aster's movies?
Ari Aster's?
Yeah, the guy that did
Hereditary.
Hereditary.
Yes.
I hated Hereditary, but Midsommer was much more interesting to me.
Why did you hate Hereditary?
Because they tricked me. They tricked me into watching that movie.
I would think it would be a movie you would like.
I felt like I have been had.
In what way?
The horrible things that happened in that movie.
Well, yeah. The same with Midsommer.
It was just a bunch of sad stuff happening. That was the movie.
Yeah.
Midsommer, however, as for a horror movie, is got to be one of the most beautifully shot movies I've ever seen in my life.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's just an absolute gorgeous film.
And it a lot to think about.
Yeah. For as horrifying as it is and as psychologically troubling as it is, it's a beautiful movie to watch.
Agreed. I liked both of them. However, I would never watch them again.
Yeah, I've only watched them both one time.
Yeah, I've seen Hereditary twice. I would watch Midsommer again.
I think also because I watched the 3-hour version of both of them. It's kind of like that was a lot to sit through. And it was kind of unsettling. And I'm good. So if you liked Midsommer, you really got to watch the original Wicker Man.
Yeah, folk horror.
Yeah.
I want to.
Nothing's stopping you. I don't think.
I have too many movies I need to watch.
There's The Curse of Professor Zardonicus. That was supposed to be a mockumentary, and it was absolutely awful. Do not watch that under any circumstances. It was wow, and I watched the whole thing. I don't know why. Just terrible. It was supposed to be funny, but they forgot the funny. There's a bunch of stuff here I don't remember what they are now. It's been so long since I've seen them. There's things. Okay, so there's in the not paranormal realm. There's a movie called Kid Detective, and I heard the name and just passed it right by. And then a friend of mine's like, "No, you got to watch that movie." And I'm like, "Really? Kid Detective?" Because it sounds like, a kid's movie. It is not a kid's movie. Holy crap. It's about a kid who, when he is a kid, he solves some crime or something and everyone thinks he's brilliant. But now that he's an adult, he's like an alcoholic and he has a detective agency and basically no business because he kind of sucks. And he goes, and I forget what the whole thing, but it's a dark movie. It's not like what the title suggests at all. And it was really good. So, yeah. Believe it or not, Kid Detective was good. I did rewatch the Tomb Raider movie. Have either of you seen the latest Tomb Raider movie?
No. I've never seen any Tomb Raider movies.
Well, the early ones with Angelina Jolie are terrible. At least I remember them being terrible. I never liked Tomb Raider, and I picked up the game once, the new series, for like $5 and went, I'll give it another shot, and absolutely loved the game. And I really just didn't like the original games, I guess. It's because they felt clunky, and I just could never get into them. But the new ones are incredibly well done. And so I said, I think I liked the movie that came out a couple years ago, and I went back and watched it again. And it's very good. They are making a second one, and it's going to be directed by the woman who did Lovecraft Country. So I'm really looking forward to that. It was actually supposed to be out last June, and they haven't even started it yet. But the thing I noticed about the first one, so after playing the game, it's the same story as the first Rise of the Tomb, or maybe it's just Tomb Raider. Whatever the new series is, the first game, it's the same story. But in the Tomb Raider game, there's a lot of paranormal elements to it, and they pretty much strip all of those out in the movie. And I'm like, why would you take like such a big part of the story? Like, what is it? What is this aversion to having like weird paranormal stuff in these movies? Like everything needs to be scientifically explained.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And the concept is she's trapped on this island that nobody can get off of because of this curse of this queen who is still running the island, who's been dead for centuries. And she keeps this constant storm over the island so you can't leave. So in the game, she has to go through and break this curse. And in the movie, it ends up being something very scientific that's causing all these issues.
Oh.
And it's like, okay, I mean, this was really good. It wasn't cheesy like the Angelina Jolie ones. It had much more of a visceral, real feel to it. But why did you take the supernatural stuff out?
Maybe supernatural just isn't popular.
But it is
that genre or something.
But it is. That's the weird. I mean, if you like Tomb Raider, you're gonna like that stuff.
Yeah.
It's so strange. Let's see other movies. Butt Boy. I'm not sure I can, in all good conscience, recommend a Butt Boy. It's about a guy who basically has like a black hole up his butt.
Well, that's some quality stuff you're watching.
Yeah. Again, recommended to me, and I went, seriously? And my friend's like, no, watch it. It's hilarious. And he was right. It's hilarious.
Was this something off of Tubi?
I don't know where it was on.
I think I've seen some of this. I think I've seen some of Butt Boy. I think I've seen this.
I just couldn't believe it didn't suck. Like, it was actually entertaining. And let's see, how is it described?
I mean, with a name like Butt Boy, how could it not be?
Right, well, you know not to take it seriously with a name like Butt Boy. Detective Fox loves work and alcohol. After going to AA, his sponsor, Chip, becomes the main suspect in his investigation of a missing kid. Fox also starts to believe that people are disappearing up Chip's butt.
Yeah, I've seen some of that.
So that was weirdly entertaining. Synchronic was pretty good. It's the same guy who did what are the two movies? Yep, I'm gonna blank on both of them. I'm gonna have to look them up. But Synchronic is sort of a time travel thing where people take this drug and they go back in time. They can't really control how far back in time they go, but to the very spot that they're in back in time. And they have to be back where they are when the drug starts to wear off, or they're stuck there. And it was very well done. Oh, The Endless. That's what he did. Oh, look, if you like this, you'll also like The Endless and The Kid Detective. So it's kind of sci-fi. So the description is the two New Orleans paramedics' lives are ripped apart after they encounter a series of horrific deaths linked to a designer drug with bizarre otherworldly effects. It's on Netflix, and it is interesting. It's a really interesting concept. Alan Moorhead is the guy who, it might be both of these guys did them. The Endless, Spring, Resolution. Have you seen any of those?
Nope.
Okay, Resolution and The Endless are sort of connected, and they are utterly brilliant. You have to watch those movies. Spring is very Lovecraftian. Spring is a young man in a personal tailspin flees from the U.S. to Italy, where he sparks up a romance with a woman harboring a dark primordial secret.
That sounds nice.
But Resolution Starts off really normal. Sort of normal. A man imprisons his estranged junkie friend in an isolated cabin in the boonies of San Diego to force him through a week of sobriety. But the events of that week are mysteriously being manipulated. And it's a very weird paranormal movie. And then The Endless kind of expands on that idea.
Oh, yeah. I've seen The Endless.
Okay, but you haven't seen you haven't seen Resolution.
Seen Synchronic, yeah.
Or Resolution.
We talked about this once before. Yeah, I think I've seen. I didn't, but those characters are in The Endless.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
And The Endless, as kids, they escaped a UFO death cult. Now 2 adult brothers seek answers after an old videotape surfaces and brings them back to where they began.
Yeah, The Endless was a weird movie.
Yes. And that's the type of stuff I tend to really like and get drawn to. So.
Yeah, same here.
The stuff that doesn't fit the patterns of everything else.
Well, I think Synchronic was the first movie, right? I think that was...
No, Synchronic is the new one that's on time travel.
Okay, well, what was the first one then?
Resolution.
Okay. So it's like a trilogy?
No, it's just those 2. Resolution, and what was the other one?
The Endless?
The Endless, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just the same director. It's the same director. Yeah, okay. Right.
Yeah, because in The Endless, there were all these weird things of just like they were in like these weird time bubbles and stuff.
Yes, yep.
Yeah.
Let's see if there was anything else here that I should mention. Like I said, it's a very long list here. And some of them were just terrible. And some of them I have no memory of whatsoever. Oh, King Kong versus Godzilla. You can't kill David Arquette.
King Kong versus Godzilla. Not as good as the original.
I assume neither of you watched You Can't Kill David Arquette.
Not seen that. No.
No.
That's a documentary. David Arquette.
You're making a statement.
He kind of is. I never knew that much about David Arquette. But he it has to do with wrestling basically because when they did a movie called Ready to Rumble or something like that, I think it was. I remember it being terrible. It was like this wrestling movie that happened in around 2000. And they were in partnership with WCW to promote it. And WCW, which was an awful wrestling company by that point, decided to make him their champion. So he loved wrestling and thought, okay, sure, you want to give me the belt? That would be fantastic, But wrestling fans hated it because he wasn't a wrestler and they thought it was kind of disrespectful to give him the belt. And so he has been hated by wrestling fans ever since. And he still loves wrestling. So at the age of like 43 or 44, whatever it was, he decides he wants to wrestle. In real life, he decides this. It's not like a movie. This is not fiction. And it shows him going and trying to train as a wrestler and how a lot of wrestlers won't even train him. And then he goes down to Mexico and he's doing like street wrestling with these guys, which I didn't even know was a thing, where they would, there'd be a stoplight and these guys would put on like 2-second matches doing flips and stuff onto each other and then get tips from people in the cars. And then he ends up having some kind of heart issue. And he says to his doctor, well, how is this going to affect me wrestling? And he's like, you should not be wrestling. And he just keeps going back and doing it, and he almost dies in the ring in a death match where a piece of glass cuts right next to his carotid artery in his neck. And it's like spurting blood, and he rolls out of the ring, and instead of going to get help, he climbs back in the ring and finishes the match. Like, the story is just incredible when you go through this. It's like, what is wrong with this guy? And at the same time, he didn't let anything stop him,
This is like a mockumentary?
No, it's a real documentary.
Really?
Yeah. It sounds like it would be a mockumentary, but it is not.
Wow.
And David Arquette is a very interesting guy. I didn't realize he hadn't really done much since then. Like, I guess he just kind of got burned from all the Ready to Rumble stuff, and he got kind of typecast, and he said he hadn't worked in years.
And get his carotid artery cut. That's pretty nasty.
And actually, he was good friends. One of his best friends is, oh my God, his name is escaping me. He was in Jeremiah. years ago. Luke Perry. Luke Perry's was one of his best friends, and Luke Perry's actually the one that took him to the hospital. The late Luke Perry. And Luke Perry's son is also a wrestler.
Really?
Yeah, he's in AEW. His name's Jungle Boy because he's this small guy. All right. Well, I could read off the rest of the 100 things on this list, but I don't think that's necessary right now. We can do other shows.
Yeah, I'm sure I need to watch some more movies.
Like I said, I write down everything I watch because we talk about it weekly on The Last Exit for the Lost, and are almost weekly. And then I just leave them in the list so that when we do a show like this, I can go through the list. But it's been literally so long, I don't even know what some of these movies are anymore. So anything else either of you want to add before we're done?
No.
All right,
about
then.
As far as movies?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, then. So actually, let's start with Katie. You have a YouTube channel.
Yeah. You can find me at Katie of the Night, and that's Katie. If you just type it in the search bar, you'll probably find me.
And you have all kinds of stuff on your channel.
Oh, yeah. I talk about anything from... Sometimes I talk about paranormal subjects, sometimes movies, sometimes music, sometimes just whatever. It's really whatever I feel like. It's all over the place.
And Adam, you have not only Conspiranormal as your regular podcast, but you have this thing coming up?
Yeah. So you guys, of course, you can find conspiranormal.com. We got several episodes going back 2012. We're just about to put up episode 383. So that's how long we've been doing this. Soraya doesn't number his episode, so he has no idea where he is. But
not a clue.
You've at least got to be around that. So coming up here, October 15th through 17th is the Strange Realities Conference 2021 in Nashville, Tennessee. And we're going to be doing kind of a mix between speakers that are actually going to be at SIR Nashville and speakers that are going to be at online only. So tickets, we kind of had a limited amount of tickets because of just like COVID is kind of raging down here. We still have tickets available for the in-person events. We are requiring like the vaccine card or like proof of a negative test, COVID test within 72 hours. You don't necessarily have to be vaccinated to come to this event. We want to make that clear. But we are trying to keep people safe. And so, but there are still some tickets left for that. That's $70, but there are plenty of room of tickets for the online only option, which you can sit at your house and you can watch all these wonderful speakers. And that is $30. And I can tell you some of the people that are going to be there, Soraya, if you don't mind.
Please do.
Well, I'll just run down the list here. We got Dr. Stephen Finley, Alan Greenfield, Tim Banal, my good friend Dr. Future, otherwise known as Dr. Michael Bennett, Aaron Goulias, who I'm sure you know.
Indeed.
A friend of the show, Amy Petula, who is the head of the Chattanooga Ghost Tours here in Tennessee, and Brent Rains, who I know has been on Where Did the Road Go?
Numerous times.
And also numerous times, Christopher Ernst is almost like your second co-host right now.
Pretty much.
And Heather Mosier, who works with she does research for the Small Town Monsters people, Seth Breedlove's outfit. Michael Hughes, who's been on Where the Road Go many times. He's going to be
for
here
many, many years.
In Nashville. Jose Herrera, Josh Cutchin.
Never heard of him.
I'm sure you know. Kiki Dombrowski. I don't know. You should have Kiki on your show sometime.
Okay.
Nathan Isaac, who I know you've had on.
Yep.
From Penny Royal Podcast. P.D. Newman. Steven Snyder. We call him Recluse. He does the podcast The Farm. And David Metcalf, who has been on Conspiranormal and Where Did the Road Go?
Yep.
And Mr. Timothy Renner.
Never heard of him.
Also a veteran and of Strange Familiars fame. He's going to be doing it remotely this year. Steve Stockton, who I know has been on my show and your show many, many times. We just had Steve on not that long ago, actually. Ren Collier, who I know you know.
Just a bit.
And some guy named Soraya is going to be. Hopefully, Soraya is actually going to be there.
Yeah, that's kind of up in the air.
We can't promise that at this point, but I'm trying to get everybody to turn the pressure on to come see Soraya. I mean, in person.
In person would be ideal.
Sure, but there are mitigating factors I'm not going to get into.
But yeah, October 15th through 17th. Like I said, there are plenty. We're really going to be pushing the online only tickets. So those are $30. I mean, 21 speakers. Whether they're going to be in Nashville or online, you guys are going to see the whole thing.
So if someone's presenting online and someone's there in person, do you just have a large screen for them?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll be broadcasting if they're presenting online, we'll be broadcasting that to the audience that's actually there.
Right, but I mean, like, just a large. Is it going to be like a projector or like?
Right, it's a projector.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wondering how you were doing that.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, thank you both.
Yeah, it was great to be here.
I want to take a moment here to give a shout out to all of my Patreons, especially those pledging $10 or more every month. Allison Cook, Super Inframan, Eric Hervin, Tim, Andrew Nichols, 100th Monkey Project, A.E. Gaia Quinta, Alex Whitcomb, Alfred Tuttle, American Rambler, Andrew Maines, Barbara Fisher, Beverly Williamson, Big Boy Limina, Charles Davis, Charles in Florida, Land of the Crazy Incommunicable, Chris Ernst, Craig Cisternos, Craig Parmenter, David Moore, Denise Sarek, Diane B., Dominic O'Malley, Duffy Dowder, Edu Camahort, MTK, Eric Citron, Eric Todd, J. Otto Bullitt, James Lattimore, Johanna Rojas, John Bracken, Carla Mahoney, Kevin Schreck, Kevin L., Layla Malden, Linz Jackson K., Luke Osborne, Mark Bowley, Mark Brady, Matt in Delaware, Patricia W., Paul Jeffries, Ray Benedetto, Riker and Stark, Roger Gonzalez, Sam Sharon, Sedgter, Stone Wilderness, Tactical Therapist, Taylor Bell, 36 Dingo, Tyler Glimstead, Walker, Will Gebhard, Will Powell, William Lovelace, Rand Collier, Stephen D., and Vincent Treewell. And an extra special thanks to Vincent for writing up recaps of every week's show. Thank you all so very much. You really do make this show possible.
In 2019, the first Strange Realities Conference took place in Nashville, Tennessee. The pandemic and turmoil the following year could not stop 2020's conference from thriving in cyberspace as a live streaming event. Now, for 2021, the third annual Strange Realities Conference will combine these worlds into a paranormal hybrid event, live in person in Nashville and streaming online. Join us in exploring just how truly strange our reality can be with an interdimensional lineup of speakers presenting unique and intellectual perspectives on magic, mysteries, and the paranormal.
Featuring Alan Greenfield, Dr. J. Michael Bennett, aka Dr. Future, Tim Banal, Soraya Ascaf, Dr. Stephen Finley, Aaron Gullius, Amy Pachula, Brent Rains, Chris Ernst, Heather Mosier, Michael Hughes, Jose Herrera, Joshua Cutchin, Kiki Dombrowski, Nathan Isaac, P.D. Newman, Steven Snyder, aka Recluse, David Metcalf, Timothy Renner, Steve Stockton, and Ren Collier. Tickets available at strangerealities.com.
It's gonna be amazing.
You have been listening to Where Did the Road Go? This show is made possible in part from our Patreons, and we thank you and everyone listening for helping us continue this exploration of the strange. You can always find everything Where Did the Road Go related at www.wheredidtheroadgo.com. And thank you so much for your support.